What's going on YouTube? TeamSC back online here. Today I'm going to be bringing you a build order video for this opener that I like to go for lately. It involves pretty much 4 minutes and 45-second benchmark. You'll have about 10 Marines and 3 Cyclones and roughly 31 SCVs. And the whole point of this opener is just to kind of give you a decent amount of Cyclones with the Mag Field Accelerator upgrade to kind of go out on the map, do a little harass, kind of mainly focus on picking off buildings like supply depots, pylons, cannons at the edge of your opponent's bases, and even kiting some armies. This is a build I like to do against Terrans and Protoss, mainly against Protoss. It's really good against Protoss because nothing early game Protoss can really do very good against the Cyclone, because you can kite their Adepts, Stalkers, Zealots, and even the Cyclone ability can actually lock on to like photon cannons and outrange them and take them down pretty quick, especially with the upgrade. It's okay against Terran. Once Terran gets concussive shells and stim packs, then bio is a problem for a Cyclone based army. So does so against Terran. This works because it's kind of the early stages, so you can kind of snipe the Terran supply depots on the outside of their bases and still be very annoying to them. Zerg, it's kind of hit or miss. Zerglings are probably your worst enemy because they destroy Cyclones pretty well, but if you're up against a Zerg, or if the enemy team has a Zerg player who decides to go Roaches, then this is pretty fundamental. Now, like I said, this is a build I use for 3v3s whenever I'm like macroing and playing kind of a mech style, so I haven't tried it out in ones. If you want to try it out in ones, I don't see why it wouldn't work. Just give it a shot. So we'll go ahead and get started, ladies and gentlemen. Gonna go ahead and press play and watch this replay of me playing the video, because I'm not the best at playing and talking. And actually, I think I spam a little bit at the beginning, so forgive me if I do. So pretty basic, simple opener. You're gonna start off, get your first SCV, rally it to your front of the base, whether it's a joined base with allies or your own base by yourself. You want to make sure you have that first SCV on its way to get a depot down at about 14 supply. After this, not too much to do, just keep building your SCVs, make sure you don't fall behind. I'm going to be playing this on normal speed just to make sure we don't miss anything, and we'll go ahead and open up the production tab as well so you can see what's building. So this is a pretty standard Terran opener. Getting a supply depot with your first SCV, and then once the supply depot finishes, immediately building a barracks, which should be here in a couple seconds. We'll be throwing down a barracks, and then right after that, as soon as we get 70 minerals, we're going to get a gas as well. So should be throwing down the barracks here at about 16 supply, and also throwing down our gas at 16 supply as well. Should be coming down right about now as soon as we get 70 minerals. And at this point, you know, not too much that can go wrong. Just basic Terran opener as you've seen in probably most Terran builds. I was trying gas first a couple times with this, but it just was really too rough, and I like how it pans out a little bit better now. So I've actually spent like 2 hours trying to smooth out this build and get the timings down, guys. So this isn't just a whole junk of me talking and giving you some crap. This is a decent build, and a lot of fun too if you can pull it off. So once your gas is done, you do want to get it saturated right after that, and usually this is about the time I'll take an SUV and use it to go scout. If you are scouting for your team, or if you're in a 1v1, this is a good time to scout. So for purposes of keeping the minerals and everything on point, we're going to just send an SUV across the map to just look around. But if you're not that good at multitasking, make sure just focus on the macro. Don't worry about scouting. The main thing is just building army and having a bunch of units. Okay, see, I'm kind of doing it. Sorry guys, I did the spamming thing, forgetting that I was making a video for a second. So anyways, right now we do have the barracks finishing, instantly building a Marine. Actually, we did 3 things at this, so I'll tell you the order that you need to do them in. This is about 18 supply, excuse me, 19. Get the orbital command first, then you want to build your supply depot, and then build your Marine. All this is happening at the exact same time, so do orbital, depot, then Marine. Rationale is because you want your mules as quick as possible because they'll get you a lot of extra money. And also you need the extra energy if you ever need scans, or mainly for mules in the early game. You want your depot because you don't want to get supply blocks. That's the worst way to get behind. And then Marine is the least important, so we get him third. So all in all, going pretty good. Next step is we're going to wait until we get up to about 100 gas, which should be around the time our orbital depot finishes. So we're going to drop down the factory here pretty soon. We are at 100 gas. What are we doing? Oh no, sorry, I'm looking at the Protoss income. So we haven't actually got 100 gas yet. So now we have 100 gas, and first Marine has finished. Going to be building a factory. Don't take 2 SCVs. It's a little blunder on my part, but it's okay. It happens to the best of us. So you want to throw it in your factory immediately, and also drop that Mule because you're going to need the income. So don't forget about dropping the Mule. So right now we're at about 21 supply. We built a factory and used our Mule. And all in all, just macroing and making sure we're building Marines non-stop. And this is another note. Once we start building that first Marine, we are going to build Marines non-stop until we get 4 of them. So don't stop building Marines. We're going to build Marines up to 4 count. And obviously don't stop building SCVs ever. Okay, so everything is going pretty smooth at this time. Next step is when our factory is about halfway done, we are going to build another supply depot and then take our second gas at that timing. So just kind of watch on your construction meter, and when it gets to about the halfway mark, which is about right now, let me see, we're at sorry, I'm looking at my notes real quick, make sure I'm not missing anything for you guys. Yes, so we're going to be at about 25 supply, building our second supply depot, getting our second gas as well. And also we are going to rally the SCV who's building the factory down to our natural expansion, because he's going to be the one that makes the command center for us. And we do have that 4th Marine on the way as well. So we're coming up to kind of a tricky moment here pretty soon where we're going to have to do multiple things at once. But we got it at a normal speed, so it should be okay. Okay, once the factory finishes, we are going to get a tech lab added on. But in addition to this, we do also need to saturate our gas, which should be finishing at this time along with the supply depot. So I just take that SCV straight to the gas over there. And then we will be throwing down our command center. So a little tricky on that part, but nothing too hard to handle. And then we're getting our reactor on our barracks as soon as the 4th Marine finished. So pretty much summary, we got our tech lab going, got our gas saturated, got our command center going down, and then we're throwing a reactor on that barracks. So far everything is panning out, going according to plan. The good thing about this build is you do get a bunch of early Marines, so in case your scouting SCV finds something, you know, like if they're rushing or something, you have a decent amount of Marines, you can get them in a bunker and use them to defend any kind of early push. Also, one thing notable, since it is the 2 minutes and 56 second mark, guys, depending on what you scout, you might be up against a Protoss who's going for like maybe DTs or something. You might have to alter the build a little bit and squeeze a engineering bay here at this point just to make sure you don't lose to cheese. But mainly thing to worry about is something like that. But normal comps, this should be okay against. And even if they decide to go for like a quick Oracle, your Cyclone will deal with that no problem. So you don't have to get eBay or missile turret for that if you see them going for a Stargate play. Okay, so as soon as the tech lab finishes, we are at about 29 supply. We do immediately get the Mag Field upgrade going. As soon as we have the income for it, we are going to build a Cyclone. And then after that, we're going to get a supply depot. So we do got enough gas, getting that Cyclone on the way, and we are going to get another depot at this time as well. You need a depot at this time. You do have a command center finishing that will give you some supply, but Cyclones cost like 4 supply, and you will get supply blocked if you don't get the depot at this strange timing. So don't wait for the command center to finish. Go ahead and get a depot because you just want to make sure you don't get supply blocked. And also just keep dropping your mules as soon as you have the energy for them as well. As you see, I just dropped another one there. Reactor should be finishing here shortly. As soon as the reactor finishes, we are going to start building Marines 2 by 2. We're now at about 34 supply when the reactor finishes. So we're getting Marines 2 by 2. Cyclone almost done, so we're going to go ahead and queue up another one just because we got a little bit more on our plate. Making sure we keep up with the SV production, and so far everything is panning out quite well. So right now at this point it's Cyclones nonstop, upgrades about halfway done, and we're also building our Marines nonstop. Okay. So all in all, pretty simple. As you can see, that first base is getting a little bit oversaturated. So as soon as this command center is done, we're probably going to migrate a couple workers down to our second base just to balance our income a little bit better. Building another supply depot here at this moment. And this is a little notable spot. It's about the 4-minute mark. Our command center has finished, so we're pretty good on supply. But at this point, you probably want to consider building a supply depot nonstop because we will be adding on more factories. At least if that's the route you decide to go. This build's a little flexible. You can kind of transition the way you want to transition. I'm just showing you the opening portion and then kind of how I transition from this point. But the main thing we're focused on is the 4-minute, 45-second benchmark. But this is kind of a notable point. Around the 4-minute mark, you want to just start building supply depots nonstop because you will consume a lot of supply, especially if you stick to a mech-based comp. So we are going to get that Orbital as soon as that command center finished, about 46 supply. And yeah, we are building supply depots nonstop at this time. Alright, and then we're getting close to our benchmark here in about 40 more seconds. So pretty much at this point, it's kind of smooth sailing. We're just building Cyclones, building Marines, and making sure we don't get supply blocked. Mag Field Accelerators has finished at about 4 minutes, 15 seconds. At this point, you can actually kind of push out and go do a little bit of harassment. I usually like to wait a little bit longer and get my third Cyclone, just because it makes it a bit easier to knock down buildings very quickly. So got 2 more Marines going, and this is the kind of the part where I'm talking about transitioning. So I like to stick with a mech-based comp. So at about the 4.5 minute mark, as soon as I get 200 gas, I'm going to throw down 2 more factories. One I'm going to build where this reactor is to get Hellions. The third factory I'm going to build kind of off to the side. I'm going to actually use the Barracks to get a tech lab, just so we can swap once that factory is done and have another factory with tech lab. So 2 tech lab factories, 1 reactor factory. And you will even start pooling a little bit of money at this time. I like to throw down a 3rd command center because with mech-based comps you need at least 3 base to make it work, especially if you get past 3, 4, 5 factories. So anyways, we're making our supply depots, and this is it. 4 minutes, 45 seconds, we've hit our benchmark. I'm going to go over to the units tab. At this point, it should look something like this. You should have 3 Cyclones, 10 Marines, and 31 SCVs if you've been relatively decent with your macro. I like this opener a lot. It's a lot of fun. This is usually the moment where I kind of push along the map. But like I said, against Protoss, what you want to do is kind of kite their units. The Marines are pretty much there as like fodder. You can lose the Marines. And the reason why I started getting the Marines is because I wanted to go for a quicker Cyclone and get the upgrade right away. But I did not want to deal with losing all my Cyclones to Speedlings. So if the enemy team has like a Zerg ally, you want to go ahead and take the Marines, take the Cyclones across the map, but you're mainly picking at the base with Cyclones. Like you want to use the Cyclones to kind of snipe out any photon cannons, pylons, big slow units, stalkers, zealots, anything like that. Cyclones do amazing against. So with that being said, you do need a little bit of micro ability to make this work. So I'd say if you're under the Platinum League division, I probably wouldn't recommend this build because you do need to micro a little bit to get the most out of your Cyclones. But if you're at least Platinum and higher, this build is going to be a whole lot of fun, and you're going to see Cyclones in a whole nother way. So anyways, at this point, pretty much the build, for all purposes of this, as long as you get to this part, the way you transition is up to you. Like I'm going to throw down a 3rd command center, take 2 more gases at my natural expansion, and then from here you can add on a starport, add on more factories, get your eBay up. Once you get your 3rd base, I'd probably add on the armories for your upgrades. And as you can see, we're lifting up that barracks, going to land those command centers. And at this point, the build order kind of ends because there's a bunch of different turns and transitions you can go at this point. I'm just here to get you to the base comp, which is these 3 Cyclones and this handful of Marines. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how I like to play it. So pretty much at this time is when I'm going to usually push along the map, try to do a little bit of harassment. I've mentioned earlier in my other Cyclone build videos that Cyclones are a good unit to be proactive with and have them out on the map. Because let's say if your opponent went for roaches and they're attacking your base, what you want to do is you want to just kite the roaches and you'll take them down super quick, especially with the Mag Field Accelerator upgrade, guys. Like if roaches are pushing across the map, stalkers, anything like that, these Cyclones are going to eat them up. Even if you get lucky to pick off a dropship, you will destroy them incredibly quick. And if you don't know, the Mag Field Accelerator is pretty much doubles the damage your Cyclones do. So instead of doing 400 over 14 seconds, you do 800 damage over 400 seconds. That's ridiculous, guys. That means like 3 of these babies can knock down buildings like butter. So pretty much what you do is you bring the Marines across, and this is the purpose of the Marines. So you can keep the Marines alive. They help if your opponent has a little bit of early air, just kind of mainly help and supplement your Cyclones. But the real purpose of the Marines is to die. We're not sticking with the bio comp. We're not getting bio upgrades. If they have like a bunch of Speedlings, you want to run away. You want to keep the Cyclones alive, let the Marines die, let them tank, take the brunt of the damage against the Zerglings. But if you're up against a Protoss, obviously this is a very easy AI, so they'll probably have an expansion, some more stuff going on. But what you want to do is you want to just kind of micro your Cyclones. And Cyclones, when they come out of the factory, their lock-on ability is actually on autocast. So what you can do is actually right-click it, and it takes it off the autocast and actually puts it to where you have to tell it to lock on. And I like to do that especially in the early game when there's only a few Cyclones, because I like to lock on to high priority targets like mothership cores, and even like you can go up and kind of snipe out pylons, and just watch how fast one Cyclone takes out a pylon with the lock-on ability. And as you can tell, there's a big range once you get the lock-on going, so you can just lock on and then just hang out the edge of the base, safe with your Marines, and really nothing can touch you. And then even moving in, like, watch, if we focused on one pylon with all 3 Cyclones, it's going to evaporate. And actually, we missed our timing. That was only 2 Cyclones. Let these recharge, and we're going to go ahead and hit that cybernetics core. And this is where Cyclones really shine, in my opinion. They're good at, like, kiting big things and, like, stalkers and roaches and things of that nature. Even okay against Mutalisks, but I love picking off buildings, guys. This is like my new thing lately. Like, watch how fast the cybernetics core goes down. And the best part is we have a big range, and we can just run away and pretty much stay out of range of most things unless they have a siege tank. Well, that is pretty much it. Like I said, you can transition however you want after this point. I got a 3rd command center, got my 3 factories, and I've stopped macroing at this point, so don't pay attention to the minerals because you can have a lot more than I have right now. I'm just kind of moving around the map. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please leave a like. Tell me what you think about this build. Tell me how this build does for you on the ladder. Please leave a like, comment, subscribe to support the Team Game StarCraft community, and I'll see you guys next time.